Hi everybody, today is January 25th, 2011, and welcome to the WDW NewsCast. I am Lou Mongello, author of the Walt Disney World trivia books, host and narrator of the audio guides to Walt Disney World, and of course the host of WDWRadio.com. Make sure you join us every Wednesday night at 7:30 for the WDW NewsCast, a live interactive news show covering the Walt Disney World Resort where you get a chance to be part of the broadcast and discussion and discuss the news real time in the chat room. Don't forget, if you can't make it, you can come by, watch, and comment in the WDW Radio YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/WDW Radio. And stay tuned for updates and frequent live broadcasts by following me on Twitter. I'm twitter.com/Lou Mongello, or on the WDW Radio Facebook friend page. It's facebook.com/WDW Radio. This, my friends, not Fantasyland, but it's Scott Otis from Otisburg. And as you can see, he's sporting the shirt from our good friends and sponsors over at TouringPlans.com. Listen, you come to Walt Disney World, don't you wish you could know how crowded the parks would be, where you should go, you know, the fast pass wait times, how long it's going to take to get on Splash Mountain, even what best park it is to go to the day? Well, worry no more, my friends, because you can find it all and so much more over at TouringPlans.com. They've got crowd calendars, the most crowded parks to avoid throughout the whole year, 365 days. They also have touring plans for all the Disney theme parks and water parks, whether you're going with kids, whether you're going with grandma, or even going solo. And don't forget, you can also take touring plans with you to the parks on your smartphone by downloading the Lines application. And surprise, surprise, they are not just limited to Walt Disney World. Check out what they have going on for Disneyland as well. Let's get right into this week's news. There was a lot that happened over the past week in and around Walt Disney World. Certainly, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the christening and the launch of the Disney Dream. That can and will be an entire show in and of itself.
Absolutely.
I had a chance to go out on the Dream. I took a lot of you with me who came out, watched in the box. It is nothing short of spectacular. If you've cruised on the Magic and Wonder, you know how they're able to bring that Disney theme park experience to sea. It is plussed up 100 times over.
I can't wait.
What's the countdown? The countdown's like 33 days until the WW Radio cruise on the Disney Dream.
Looking forward.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot more about that. Some other things that happened as well. The new Magic Memories and You Castle Show debuted last week. If somebody in chat wants to put a link to that, I posted a new high-def video from the premiere night. I was right out up in front. There was nobody in front of me, which is important because I am vertically challenged. Got a great view. Really, really liked that show. I'd love for you guys to come by over on YouTube and comment. Let me know what you think. Much like the Wild Africa Trek, exceeded my expectations. I went in expecting sort of projections of people's faces on the screen. Thought it'd be nice. So much more. You don't want to give too much away, but the castle kind of comes to life and it transforms.
So much color and
it's check out the video. Definitely check out the video. Again, go to youtube.com/WW Radio. You can find it there as well. A couple of things worth noting before we get into really what I want to discuss tonight. Star Tours 2.0. We have a go live date, fortunately, just in time for Star Wars weekends. Same day as Pirates of the Caribbean 4, May 20th is when Star Tours 2.0 is going to go live. Freaks and geeks like myself are very excited about that.
I will be there first in line with my stormtroopers.
You will be second in line, my friend, because I'll be wielding the Jedi lightsaber and going to town. I'm super, super psyched about that. The big news this week, and because I think there's a lot to talk about, I wanted to sort of restrict tonight's conversation just to that, is all about Fantasyland, all about the Fantasyland expansion and the updates. There is obviously been a big change from what we first heard really more than a year ago at the D23 Expo about what Fantasyland was going to become. This past week, there's been a lot of rumor, a lot of speculation that there would be some changes coming, and they've come really in big ways. I'm going to show you a map of and immediately you see, you know, how different it is. It no longer is all about princess meet and greets. Things have changed somewhat dramatically, although some elements are still there. Let me go back to the live camera here. Let's kind of go through things one by one. So one of the biggest changes we see is to the meet and greets. The original Fantasyland expansion was pretty much all about princesses and meet and greets. And I think Disney, and we'll talk about this at the end, responded to what was going on online and the concerns about that. But we still have them. They still have opportunities to meet princesses. Those are going to take place over in Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Aurora, Cinderella, all the other Disney princesses like Tiana and Rapunzel, they're going to greet their guests in a new home, which is going to be an elegant royal court. But with every addition sometimes comes a subtraction, and it's going to be where Snow White's scary adventures currently sits. And for many of us that love, the classic dark rides, we're sad to see it go.
We are sad to see it go. It was one of the opening day attractions, but we're going to be getting quite an addition with that leaving. So
right, and I think too, having, instead of Fantasyland being one giant area of meet, which would have been beautiful. I mean, the concept art was beautiful, but simply meet and greet areas now sort of combine into one, space that will be themed appropriately for each. You'll be able to get, so Jason, you'll be able to get more princesses, but now in a single location.
And it won't take up as much prime real estate as the older updates. So,
right.
You'll still get the beautiful princess meet and greets, but
which is exactly what you've been hoping for.
Absolutely. But it won't take up as much real estate, and so we're going to get a lot more with that, as we'll discuss later.
Right, and I think, let's talk right about, because
okay,
as sad as I think we are to a certain degree to see Snow White's Scary Adventures, look, we lamented the loss of Mr. Toad. We sometimes hate to see those original dark rides go away. We're seeing Snow White's go away, but what we're getting is something, again, that's been rumored. I think something that people were hoping for, which is being able to tell the Snow White story in a new way. And this time it's being told through the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is going to be, according to Disney, a rollicking musical ride into the mine where a million diamonds shine. It's going to be a coaster with the first of its kind ride system with a train of ride vehicles that are going to swing back and forth as they go along the track. It's also obviously going to have music from the classic film as well. There has been some concept art that has been released. There was some additional concept art that was released as well.
Yes, there's some concept art that's actually on the wall, the construction wall out in Fantasyland that shows a single scene going through the actual mine with the seven dwarfs all around and a bunch of gems, and it looks amazing. I'm actually very excited for this.
Right, so Kissing Me Kathy is asking a question I think a lot of people are asking, which is, when is it going to close? We know that this is all going to take place in phases, opening, I think, fully in 2013. I don't think they've set a closing date for Snow White as yet, but get your rides on Snow White's Scary Adventures in. Note to self, update Fantasyland audio guide again. But look, somebody in chat I noticed said Walt Disney World is always in a constant state of change.
Absolutely.
Walt never wanted it to be a museum, and I think for a lot of us, we've garnered enough faith in the company to know that when they take something else out, they have something pretty spectacular planned to put in its place.
Yes. Yeah, I think it looks amazing, and it's going to take up a giant chunk, probably as big as the old 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea lagoon.
Right.
With Snow White's cottage and the mountains and the mine cars going in and out of the mountains.
And so now you have two quote-unquote e-ticket gatebuster attractions. You're going to have the Undersea Adventure, the Voyage of the Little Mermaid aerial ride. Construction is going full force in that. The show building is up. It's ginormous. You're now going to, and you know what's nice about this too? This is going to be located. Let's go back to the concept art. You'll see that it's going to be located right in the center of Fantasyland. And what I think it's going to do is give you an opportunity to sort of see the attraction in 360 degrees
from
as a guest.
So many different angles.
Right.
You'll be able to physically walk all the way around it.
And I can't think of many attractions that are outside that you can do that.
Not that big, certainly.
Right.
Probably Matterhorn at Disneyland would be the biggest example.
Yeah.
It won't be that tall, but It'll be something that you'd be able to physically walk around and look at it from all the different angles, see the cars going in and out of the mine shaft. So
right. It's almost like Barnstormer. I mean, you can see a lot of Barnstormer if you go through the queue, but you can't walk physically around the whole thing. And if it stays true to what they've laid out in the concept art, it looks like that's what you're going to be able to do.
Yeah.
So, and again, they're introducing a new technology with the mine cars. It's not going to be like a Big Thunder Mountain. It's not going to be like a Barnstormer. It's going to be something new. But again, keeping with the theme of Fantasyland, something that everybody in the family can ride.
Yeah, it won't be as rollicking as Big Thunder Mountain. It will be something that pretty much everybody will be able to enjoy, and I'm very excited about that.
If you think you're excited about that, Scott Otis, what you've really got to be excited about is the construction of Beast Castle.
Absolutely.
It is going to be this huge, majestic castle up on a hill. You've got to cross over a restaurant, and when you get there, the big payoff, the Be Our Guest restaurant, set right inside the castle. 550 guests, a lot of great food. Quickly, it's going to have counter service by day, table service at night, sort of that rotational dining, kind of like things like we're seeing on the Dream already, how some restaurants are changing from day to night.
Also in the La Cantina at the
I'm digging it. I dig it. Because now you can go twice in the same day.
Right.
Whole new experience. There's also going to be, what they did do, which I like, is that they haven't taken away the princesses completely, because they did leave in Belle's Village. There's going to be Gaston's Tavern, although beer will not be sold.
Certainly not.
And who needs it, really? The Bonjour Village gifts. And inside Belle's Cottage, there are going to be additional interactive experiences there as well. There's going to have this magic mirror, which really acts as a doorway to what Disney is calling, again, a new kind of experience where Belle, Lumiere, and us as guests get to participate in the retelling of the tale as old as time. It's called The Enchanted Tales with Belle. You start off in Maurice's cottage, you go through the mirror, and then end up in the Beast Library for this interactive storytelling session with Belle. And I like this, Scott, because, again, it's not just sort of the meet and greet a princess, get your picture, get a photo pass, and move on. There's something for kids to do, kind of like what we had with Belle's Fairy Tale Garden, we have with the Rapunzel meet and greet area now.
So very similar to that, and I know children and their parents have loved that, so they'll be able to get that back, and it'll be even more interactive and be beautiful.
It's things to do. You know, there's experience to have other than, because look, now hindsight being 2020, the original Fantasyland plans, you looked at it and you said, wow, it's a lot of meet and greets. You know, Dad's going to be standing online a lot with his daughter who's losing her mind because she's got 6 more princesses to meet, but, you know, little Scotty who's 9 is going, dude, I need a car, I need a gun, I need a sword, I need something to do. So now that I think there's something more for her. But those kind of experiences, the storytelling things, boys and girls can participate in as well. So, and again, so JJ is saying he loves being able to walk through the village, go look atop the mountain, see another Disney castle. I agree with you, JJ. And again, the landscape is going to be very dimensional. It's not going to be sort of looking down a straight shot of Fantasyland and seeing attractions. You are going to get mountains. You're going to get water effects. You're going to get bridges.
Plus,
that's going to do a lot.
Ariel's the Sea Town Village will also be in another corner.
Right.
So you get kinetics going on throughout Fantasyland.
Yeah, and again, too, you know,
big changes.
It's going to be, you know, the place to be. We're seeing some of the concept art again for Ariel's Undersea Adventure. So you've got 2 new attractions. You've got a new restaurant, which I think we desperately needed in the Magic Kingdom. You've got a new roller coaster. You've got a lot of things to do in Fantasyland other than stand online for Dumbo. So
and Dumbo, that's a whole other thing.
And there you go. So see, there's the segue. We're going right into the segue because obviously there's also the brand new, they're calling it the Storybook Circus. We all know they're doubling the fun because they're doubling the size of Dumbo by adding another carousel into the mix. Twice the fun. Twice the fun, but more importantly, less the line.
Twice the capacity.
Twice the capacity. But the big thing about Dumbo is the fact while you're waiting, you're going to have a chance to, again, be immersed in this experience where you're joining the circus. You step inside the big top tent. There's a lot of interactive experiences, again, according to Disney, for kids of all ages. Mm-hmm. So it's that queue-less queue that we've been talking about and hinting about for a long time. We see images in the concept art here of which seems to be a train. There's a fountain outside, and who
Circus
knows?
tent.
Yeah,
And
what's
who
going to take place inside that tent? But again,
Right.
instead of standing outside in 106-degree temperature because your daughter wants to ride Dumbo for the 17th time in the day, you've got something to do to occupy everybody's
Right.
time.
A bit busy, so.
And I think this is the first of us seeing this over and over again. I think we're going to start to see this more with experiential cues. We're going to see, we've seen the interactive ones. We've seen it come to Soarin'. We're starting to see, I think we're going to see that come to the Haunted Mansion. I think people are going to be very excited by what they see at the Haunted Mansion. I think nostalgics might not have a lot to worry about, but have a lot to be
That's
excited about. So Jason says there's more opportunity to shop, but I think, Jason, there's more opportunity to keep busy. You know, we talked about touring plans. You know, it's all about getting the most out of the experience and finding out what the wait times are. Well, what if you went to, you know, Dumbo's and it wasn't about waiting? You got a ticket, you got a feather, whatever it might be, and you're shopping, you're playing games, you're doing whatever, and they came back and they called you and said, okay, now it's your time to ride. It's better than a fast pass, and it's in a couple of minutes you're on the attraction.
Busy the whole time.
Right.
So.
You don't feel like you're waiting online. Let's talk about Dumbo, because alongside of it, the Barnstormer we mentioned before, there's been a lot of rumors about what was going to happen to that. We know now it's going to get a new look. It's going to stay in the original track, but it's now going to feature Goofy as the Great Goofini.
Great Goofini.
So that same twisting, turning roller coaster flight is going to still be there with his multi-flex octoplane, I would assume. Nice money-saving, cost-saving thing for Disney, too. No need to you don't have to make the roller coaster a train now. You can still use the airplane. And it still sort of carries over the theming of the original Barnstormer about sort of Fido's flight school. Right?
Exactly. And you'll still have that introductory coaster for small children who will have their very first coaster experience. And that's
you.
That's a big
You're
one
not
right
big
there.
on the coasters. I know. You're not. You and Tim Foster need to bond on the coasters.
I love coasters. So.
But so now, I mean, Fantasyland, you're now going to get, again, the introductory coaster with Barnstormer. You're going to get
Great Goofini.
Sorry, the Great Goofini. We have to get used to the new terminology. Right. You're going to get the Seven Dwarfs Mine Cart, which, again, unlike things like a new attraction like Mission Space or something that everybody can't ride, it's something that everybody's going to be able to enjoy. A new ride system, new ride vehicles.
Wonderful theme, wonderful effects.
Aerials brings back the traditional sort of dark ride experience, although we lose Snow White. And again, I think it sort of makes everybody happy. I'm watching in the chat room to see what the response is, and I think what we've seen is the response being very good to what they've announced so far, as well as the some of the changes that have been made. One of the things we did lose with the changes to Fantasyland is something that they sort of almost mentioned as an afterthought when they talked about Tinkerbell and her friends joining the cast of Epcot, where they're going to have special roles, bringing in the flora and the fauna to the Flower and Garden Festival. And what that really means, what Disney's saying is that whole Pixie Hollow thing, that's gone. Pixie Hollow is going away.
You can still find it at Disneyland, but and you'll still find the characters at Epcot. But
exactly,
that was a small loss.
I think we would all trade the Seven Dwarfs Mine Coaster for the Pixie Hollow experience, because again, that too was a meet and greet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And if you like Tinkerbell and you like Pixie Hollow, you got to go on the Disney Dream, because in the Oceaneers Club, you're going to love this. There's a Pixie Hollow area. It's one of the sort of the pods off the main area where there's a Pixie Hollow, a Finding Nemo, an Andy's Room, a Monsters Inc. thing. Again, you are going to... I'm so happy that I make the height requirement. I can actually fit into the Oceaneers Club and the Oceaneers Lab. But I want to know from people in the chat room, and again, anybody who's watching on the YouTube channel, what their reaction is to the changes. How do they feel about this removal of the classic dark ride? Is it okay that they are going to be retelling the same story as opposed to taking out Mr. Toad and putting in Winnie the Pooh? You're taking out Snow White, but you're putting her back in with a whole new type of experience.
Greater experience, in my opinion.
So, as somebody who, but you were a Disneyland original. You're an original Walt Disney World guy. You, like me, and I think a lot of people, like the classics. We like sort of keeping things to a certain degree. Does it bother you that they're taking it out at all?
To be honest, no. I like that they are. It's going to be back just in a different way, and so it's just something else that I'll be able to experience. I will still have my memories of the original attraction, but now I'll get something that I think is even better.
So
I'm actually very excited.
I am as well. Jason and some other people are asking where the mine train is going to be located. I'm going to put the map back up again. If you look very closely, you'll see right in the middle, behind the castle walls. That's where it's going to be located, right in the center. So
it's essentially where the voyage of Ariel, or
almost where the aerial meet and greet.
The aerial meet and greet all the way through the submarine lagoon.
Yeah.
And if you look at the
well,
map...
think about it here, the Pooh's Playful Spot.
Yeah.
Almost to a certain
although
degree.
Pooh's Playful Spot is a tiny little speck on this map, they're actually going a lot farther back than the submarine lagoon ever was. So
yeah.
Fantasyland will be a lot bigger than
if people haven't been here since construction has began, I think they're going to be very surprised. And I think what they don't realize is this expansion is huge.
Yeah, the word expansion is actually very apt here because they are expanding the park. It is the largest expansion that they've ever done at this park, ever,
and
in
when
the 40-year history.
Right, when we think about it, you say, well, doubling the size of Fantasyland, to a certain degree, Fantasyland minus the extension onto the castle is kind of like an alley. It's a sort of a straight shot from It's a Small World all the way down to the teacups. This doesn't just expand, vertically. It's a horizontal. It's such a wide expansion, so it's not like it's just doubling the width of it. I mean, it goes back.
It goes
far.
Very far back.
If you go to Google Earth, they might update the maps. The same thing with Bing. They update pretty recent as well. If you come down to Walt Disney World, ride Dumbo. If for nothing more,
peek over the fence.
kind of looking over but you can see how far back it goes. And again, there's even more room behind there.
Yeah, there is. There is a lot of room for even expansion beyond that if they were to ever be so inclined.
But like you said, imagine walking in there and walking through the castle archway and now seeing trees and mountains and bridges where you used to see, beyond the carousel, you only saw Dumbo. You get a whole nother layer of dimensional experience there.
Yeah, that once it's all done, it's going to be amazing looking just to see it also.
Because I kind of got the sense, it's one of those places that you can, you want to sort of wander through and explore. Again, Fantasyland is right now is about going from attraction to attraction to attraction. Here, you want to sort of wander through the village that is going to be, and every sort of princess and theme and film has its own little section. So, all right, so let's go back. My other question, I would love for you guys to continue this conversation in the chat, in the comment section in YouTube is, again, this was originally announced back in September of 2009. It's now January 2011, and the design, the structure, the concepts have changed relatively radically. We've lost a lot, we've gained a lot. They've also now extended into the original Fantasyland. I wonder how much of those changes were influenced by the online response. And I think we have to admit that probably very greatly. And, Scott, think back, forget 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that couldn't have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. With the whole social media, people commenting online in chat rooms and everything, that's such a dynamic part of how these things are done. And, one of the things is the plans that Disney makes are always able to be changed. And
They're
this
made
is
of
just
jello.
proof
They're made of jello.
Made of jello. So, yes, this is just them proving that yeah, they did tell us this, but now they've changed it. It's evolved, and I think it's evolved for the better.
It used to be, we had the preview center, we had the preview areas located in Exhibition Hall. They would roll out the model. You see that? Do you see that? That's lightning. That's not special effects. I mean, it's special effects. They would roll out a model and be like, this is what's coming. And the feedback, what little they would get, would have to be directly from the guests right there. Now they're watching what's going on. Yep. And I think it very much is a testament to the fact that Disney is listening to their guests.
Absolutely.
They're listening to the people who they realize are the people who are going to be coming, the people who are in the online forums and the blogs and the communities and the podcasts who are saying, I'm concerned about this now. Exactly. They've responded. They've addressed it and not saying, hey, we're going forward with this. So I applaud them, and I have to think, Scott, it had to be a relatively quick response for them to scrap those plans and come up with all new ones as well.
Absolutely, because that does take a lot of time to I'm not sure how they technically go about all that. But
I'll show you when we're done. I'll lay it out for you.
But yeah, it does take time for the Imagineers to do that. So.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, I think these are great changes. Again, I applaud Disney for making them now rather than figuring out how to fix it later on. Again, I want to keep this conversation going in the comment section over at YouTube because I think there is a lot more. We're going to stay on, talk with some more people in the chat. Don't forget, again, tonight is Tuesday. Normally we do this every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can just go and visit WDWNewsCast.com, log in, chat, discuss the news as we broadcast it, and again, you can also comment in the YouTube channel as well. Be sure and visit the website over at WDWRadio.com. There you can find the blog, forum,